We are back here again for some Paper Modern. James joined in the booth by Reed. We'll be talking about round one here, and then we are odd tonight, so we'll have a different commentator in the back paired with me every round. We should be doing 4 rounds tonight. It might be 3. We'll see how the tiebreaker goes. But for round number 1, looks like we have turning player Mr. A. He's a popular one on here on our feature match. Usually a couple times a month we'll see him on here round number 1. We saw him beat Jurok last week. And paired against Ian, our Chupacabra Games' very own. He's been traveling with me to events for the past few years, and I think we'll be seeing a bit of him in Minneapolis this weekend. Or not this weekend, later this month. So Ian, I believe, is taking advantage of some new Dominaria cards. He's going to be playing Goblins here, I believe, as we don't see him reveal a companion of any sorts. We'll get to see some of the new cards in action and see how they perform. As for Mr. A, do you know what he's playing?
It could be mono. I don't see Giganta, so it's not Trump. There's a chance. He's on burn.
This is burn, yeah. You will see some lightning helixes and skewer the critics. Yeah, and here we are, the black-red lands. We see some goblins as well in Ian's opener. We are definitely playing the boys today.
So goblins got the new lord. Like anything else in Dominaria?
I don't think so. I think it is just the lord that
Lord's pretty pretty.
yeah, whenever it or another goblin dies, you exile the top card of your library, and then if it's a goblin, you cast until the end of your next turn. So like you can go off on people's end steps too, which is pretty sweet. I mean, yeah, goblins should be pretty strong strategy. They get to play a lot of cool sideboard cards. Like they just get to play the really one-sided cards like Chalice of the Void or Leyline of the Void as well. A lot of the Void cards going on here. Looks like both of our players are going down to 6 here. Didn't really like our opening hands. That is going to favor Ian a lot because the more burn mulligans, the better. They're basically 7-card combo, looking for lands and a bunch of bolts. So the more times you have to mulligan, the worse and less likely is going to get that you're going to be able to kill your opponent.
Ian's on the 1-card combo.
Yep. Yeah, he gets to play like the fair game and then also have a combo finish. See, Swiss beer from Aquino.
Burn stuff.
Yep. Still have a fetch and play too, so Searing Blaze might be pretty pivotal here. We do see him fan to it right there. He's pretty inclined to not fetch there if he intends on casting that, but looks like it's just going to be an Eidolon, which is a pretty solid play in this matchup. There's a lot of creatures that are going to be cast, and Ian didn't start on an Aether Vial either, so Eidolon's going to get in for some extra points of damage. But here's Conspicuous Snoop, one of the newer cards for goblins. Yeah, it's going to allow him to have the top card of his library revealed at all times, and if it is a goblin on top, Conspicuous Snoop has the activated abilities of said goblin.
And it's going to be a
Searing Blaze, 100%. Yeah,
Searing Blaze.
That's going to come in for
like 10 to 8 to
11 damage, right?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah. 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, yeah. Yeah, if he does have the lava spike. I didn't quite see it, but I believe you.
Yeah, skewer.
Oh, skewer.
Recount.
That'll do it.
Taking.
Sending Ian all the way down to 5 here.
Snoop part 2. Is Matrix to the top?
Matron goes to your hand.
Okay.
The Harbinger,
Okay.
Morning Tide, put on top, which is important for Snoop.
Yeah. Ian down to 2.
Yeah, I
That
think
makes
he's gonna try and cobble together a win here, but I just don't think that's something that's possible at this point.
sure.
Because if there were a Kiki Jiki on top, Conspicuous Snoop does not have haste. Yeah. All right. Burn is gonna show just the ability of Eidolon plus burn spells is gonna lock something like goblins out of the game. If they don't have an Aether Vial allows you to still play spells and not have to lose life for them. So Ian's, I think, looking at these chalices, which Aquino probably knows about. He can suspect that's a possible card to bring in. Smash is one of those cards that's like, if you're wrong about bringing it in, it is actually just a blank card in your hand. So
I didn't see an Aether Vial. I don't know.
I mean, it's a tribal deck. I think it's fairly safe to say that your opponent's going to have Aether Vials. They could also trim them though, but I think in this matchup you do want Vial to get around the Eidolons. Yeah, I think you have to.
Yeah.
Like some number, maybe not all of them, but because you don't outright lose to Chalice either. It does, and have being able to 1-for-1 your opponent and also have a burn spell attached to a bolt attached to it. Looks like Ian just brought in the chalices though. Didn't get a great look. I believe he plays Thoughtseize in the sideboard. It's not really a card you want in the matchup though. Fortunately, losing 2 life is 2/3 of the way there of a whole spell cast for burn. So
Healing cell for one dude.
yeah, basically. Yeah, I doubt there's any life gain coming in from Ian's side of things.
Ian does get to go first.
It's big.
That's very big.
That means he could have potential to actually combo his opponent, but I think with Mr. A's whole deck just being burn spells, it is kind of hard to get a Snoop to stick around if you try to go to set something up. But Sling Gang Commander is actually the way he gains life. That's the Modern Horizons one uncommon.
That is a 4-drop though.
Yep. He's got Skirk Prospectors. You could ramp up to it pretty quickly, yeah. I think you could have it on turn 3 with like a pretty sizable board as well. Ian going back down to 6, like you saw last game. Just looking for something to be able to interact heavily with Burns' game plan. And Aquino really just trying to have the basic form of a game plan as well as maybe a specific card to counter a creature strategy like Searing Blaze or the Smash that he may or may not have brought in. Looks like a few lands here already. Maybe 5 lands. Yeah, I think we're gonna see Ian go down to 5 here. Pretty unlucky to say the least. But I mean, 5 cards is definitely enough to beat Burn. I think if Burn mulled to 5, that's maybe not enough to beat Goblins. But I think with the right 5, you can get here. You need to get a little lucky with your top decks. But if you get something playable here, I could still believe in this. Especially we do see Vial, so that means he can keep less lands and still have a playable hand. And we're keeping Munitions Expert. Okay. All right, it's going to be Den of the Bugbear into Aether Vial. And Aquino picking up a Searing Blaze that could be pretty big for the next couple of turns. See a Goblin Guide that Munitions Expert can't quite take care of just yet. We're going to need to develop the board a little bit. I don't think we saw any 1-mana Goblins in his hand, but that would be the best time to play that to grow the Munitions Expert power. Oh, okay. So we have the 2-drop. We have the new Dominaria card, the Lord, which
See, just like a chop or a trade here with the munitions.
it does still trade, you're right, yeah.
A trigger.
Bogart Harbinger.
Oh, that's not hurting.
It's one that'll tutor to the top of the library. Yo, Goblin Mirror Match, Goblin Guide. Munitions expert Aquino having to read all of these goblins. It's been a while for this deck to see play in the format.
Real.
It is. It has been pretty good. I think Solitude and Prismatic Ending and Fury have not been its best friends. But having the new card from Dominaria, I think it gives it a lot more reach, and it's less susceptible to Furies.
That's cool. Does eat Searing Blazes. Shows pretty good right now.
Yeah, Searing Blaze super good in this matchup. It's most of the times not the greatest card in the modern format. You see matchups like Tron and 4-color sometimes can just not have a creature in play for many turns. Second Aether Vial for Ian. Not the greatest. It's basically just a better land at this point, but Goblin Guide's still in play. Can be kind of difficult. Yeah, that doesn't enter with a counter. Yeah, Ian just forgetting to put that on top of his library to remind him to move it to the file, but we all know what's going on here. Skirk Prospector on top. That's not gonna change too many things. It's gonna let the Lord be able to pump this Prospector.
It lives another turn. It's in point play.
Right.
If Ian lives another turn.
Yeah, I mean, Aquino only has the 2 lands in hand, which means his hand is pretty loaded. We see Eidolon, Searing Blaze, Skullcrack, Lava Spike, and one other card. Oh, is that another Searing Blaze in the back? Oh no, it's just Bolt. Still, very powerful draw.
Yeah.
We're gonna see Ian go down to 5 here, I think. Here is the Rebel Belt Master, Horde Master, I believe is the name of this card. It is a 2-mana 1/1 Lord, and Lord for goblins. I think Fluffy's pulling it up here right now. Here we go. And whenever it's or another goblin you control dies, you exile top card of your library, and then if it's goblin, you may cast it until the end of your next turn. When I first read this card, I thought it said any card and not just goblins. So it is not as good as I thought it was, but it's still pretty powerful. Don't let that fool you. Here's the Prospector from the Purple Belt Horde, Rundevelt Horde Master. So Ian's gonna have a chump blocker here at the very least. So go into combat.
Hey, we got a land.
Yeah, big card draw here. You know, with like 12 points of burn in his hand, at least. 3, 6, 9, 13, I believe. Looks like Aquino passed. I'm gonna see Ian untap, maybe. Now we're gonna go for Searing Blaze. It's just gonna be 1 damage each. Surprised not to see just 2 bolts there, getting Ian down to 2. I guess giving him a full turn to untap like that, and Aquino being tapped out, might actually be the window Ian needs. And now at least he's down a resource of the Skirk Prospector, so see what we can get here off the Harbinger. We'll have Violon 2 and 4 and 2 mana in play at least. So we're just gonna get a Matron. I think that's a good place to start. Matron, of course, being allowed. allowing Ian to tutor any goblin into his deck, into his hand.
Be interesting to see if Ian takes up a 3, because he
He could just keep it on 3, yeah.
He's going.
It is going to 4, yeah.
Okay. Oh, I see it. He's gonna matron, go get the 4-drop, flash that out.
The Sling Gang, yeah.
Okay.
And that should gain him 4 life if he really wants to.
I don't. Kino's cracking behind him. Kino's.
Well, Ian could just do it now. He could play, which is honestly, it's a little risky. I could see him, because Skullcrack really only stops 1 point of life if you do it 1 by 1. Ian's got these Cedric Phillips SAG tokens. Throwback. Can Aquino just deal enough damage? He's missing the mana, which is preventing him from having like a combo-esque turn.
Get a spike charm. Bolt.
We have Goblin Guide and
Searing Blaze.
Searing Blaze. Yeah, here's the Searing Blaze. Price itself getting 1 life up to 8, and not any other goblins. Okay. So I guess respecting the fact that he might need those to combo. I didn't get a great look at it. It looks like it's a spell.
Good sign.
Right? Yeah, being able to turn your creature sideways against burn is always a sign of good fortune. So Kenzan and a pass. Vials at 3 and 4, we could have a lot of interaction here still. I don't think it's what Ian wants though, which is the second Sling Gang commander.
Yeah, if Ian doesn't have that, game's over here. You got a charm, spike.
Yeah, Mr. A did find a 3rd land, and this is just going to be it. Yep, Ian extends the hand. Burn getting it done against goblins, not really getting to showcase the new card, but looks like Ian did bring in Chalice there.
Yes. Burn did burn things. Story of the ages.
Yep, yeah, Burn being a pillar of the format for basically since its inception. And I think it's here to stay. Even in 2022, being able to put up against all these new cards put into Modern, and the new cards printed as well that are pretty strong, but not better than 1 mana 3 damage spells. Furies, yeah.
Brought in Sanctifiers. No
Sanctifier. Sanctifier does not matter at all, and didn't even bring in. It's fair. I mean, the card can be a brick, but I think against I
don't think
a
it's
vial.
So it's more like a living in type of situation.
Yeah, he's telling him right now to bring in the smashes. It's like I have 7 artifacts in my deck. It's like, oh yeah, you're probably
right. Like the burn player had
and Path. Aquino had Path in the graveyard or on the sideboard as well. That card's also very solid at stopping Ian's plan. All right, well, there's still a little more than half the time in round left, so we can go see if there's any other matches out there and bring one of them up to the feature match. So we'll either see you there or for round number 2. Alright, well, we found a backup match here, and I've swapped out Reed for Ian here.
Yeah, you guys just watched me get creamed by some burn, but
Yep,
and now we got
and,
burn again.
You're an expert in this matchup.
Yeah, no, definitely I would assume like if burn can get off the ground, well sadly there's glare. But yeah, if burn can get off the ground, like and just do the goldfish turn 3.5 to 4, like I assume he's pretty favored. And
I think Drew's got the good hand here because I took a look at both of their hands, and Caleb has a bunch of flusters and spell pierces in his hand, and Drew just drew the creature half of his deck.
yeah, very strong. And I assume the whiteboard card's a bolt, as well as
Yes,
I assume that's like a suspended rift bolt most likely.
I think so. Yep. I'm not sure what else it could be.
Yeah, I was like rolling vortex maybe like just
In
I
this matchup?
yeah, I was just like that's such a weird card because I thought he tapped 2 for it, but nah, he definitely
Right.
played the extra creature. But yeah, and
I mean, Arcana Cruelty, I've heard is pretty good against a bolt deck.
that's very
So,
true. That's very
If
yeah.
we can get there.
Yeah, but Caleb going down to 11, I'm pretty sure already. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, he has a spell.
Okay,
pierce.
okay.
I mean, if Drew wants to, he could just pay for it. But regardless, more spells just nailed the prowess trigger to probably.
I think you do end up dealing more damage.
Yeah, and it's a skewer.
Skewer?
I can't cast that.
Right.
Okay, just
We're gonna
Mercy.
bolt first. All right, Ian's just stepping away there to answer a judge call. So we are resolving the bolt here, but Caleb has a fluster storm to take care of that. So we can't quite cast the skewer the critics. So we're just gonna come in for 5 here. There's 2 prowess triggers on the Swiss Bear.
and then he has a skewer. Yep,
There's the skewer.
I think he's down to 3, right? And then he has a domino creativity.
You should be down to 3, yeah.
I guess there is no real draw for this one, right? Anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you could have a Fury, I guess, but like creativity doesn't play Fury.
Yeah. My other thought was like maybe an engineer explosives or something to clean up the creatures, and then but like you still die on the back half of the burn spell, sadly,
Right.
or something of that nature. And sadly, like it's a shock land in hand too. So like, and normally we always say 3 is much different than 1, but sadly, with 2 lethal attackers, pretty much it is. So
Yeah. Yeah, being at 1 here, not amazing. We're just gonna get in with the 2 creatures. I think Caleb has 4 creatures.
oh man, go buy a lottery ticket, please. Yeah, that's a tough one. Wow.
That is rough. Yeah, 2 tragic decks losing to burn.
Yeah, sometimes you just want to have fun. It's the police. It has to be.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, we were saying earlier, it is just a pillar of the format, a pretty always powerful deck. And we see Tron here today as well too, so there's some good representation of the
Yeah.
modern format.
Yeah, no, most definitely.
Not much has changed.
I mean, most definitely. That deck's been around since what, like 2012, like when the format
It's-
first started.
yeah, basically, ever since modern took off, it's always been around.
Yeah, and it's always kept like weird, odd decks in check. Like,
Yeah, for a long time. Yeah, I mean, the Goblins match even looked a little rough.
Yeah.
because the Searing Blaze just
Yep.
like our not even isn't even that good in
Yeah.
other matchups.
yeah, sadly with that deck's configuration, it's they're things that are objectively always trying to kill you
Right.
are also ways to remove your combo.
Mhm.
So you have to go on the back burner game plan of beating them down. And well, if you get like kind of an anemic draw, and like how, and especially because I mulliganed to 5, it was very sad. But you do the mid range game plan and a bunch of 1/1s attacking over a course of 5 turns. Like
Yeah.
they normally are a 3-4 turn deck, so they always have a chance to just beat you. So yeah, and there's only 1 card with incidental life gain. So
Yeah, we saw you only sacked the Sling Gang itself.
Yeah.
Played it. I don't think it mattered. But being able to have blockers, I guess, was the thought.
with that, so in that scenario especially, if I sack down, I can sack 3 more guys and have 0 things, but it leaves me dead to one more bolt or burn effect.
Yeah.
But I have no pressure, and my thought process was I have a vial going to like 5 and 4 if I want to.
Yeah.
And then as well as I draw a land, it makes my Den of the Bugbear attacker.
Oh,
So it becomes like a 2-turn clock,
mhm.
I believe, 4, 7. Yeah, it's like roughly a turn clock. And I drew a Fury. So that that was a way to remove like let's say an Eidolon or something as well as attack through a bunch of stuff. And that was my thought process is like if I don't have some way to I pressure him, he gets a long way longer game to
Oh,
then
yeah.
beat.
No, I think so. But I guess we'll take a look and see if we can find a third match here. A lot of burn representation in the feature match for round number 1. But if we can't find another match, we will see everyone back here for round number 2. Or will we have found a third match for round number 1 here? I've got Joe back here in the booth. I think we'll be taking a look at game 3 of Grix's Death Shadow from Aiden's side of things versus Will on 4-color control. Aiden gonna lead off on a rag event. I believe Will did keep a hand with a bolt in it though. And we're just gonna fetch a Triumph as well.
Be a real shame to see a Brennan 6 here.
Oh, Renin 6, the steam vents should be tapped, so there won't be any chance of a spell pierce. Yes, Will has converted over to the Yorion deck. This is the first time we've all seen it, and we get to see it live here. But being able to go Zagoth Triome, Prismatic Ending, taking care of the non-dashed Ragavan here. See if Aiden has anything for turn number 2 for us. Something like Thoughtseize Ragavan could be pretty powerful, or DRC into Thoughtseize.
Shredder Bob.
Or Bobble, the classic. Trigger Connive for 0 mana. Touching on Watery Graves, so even if Aiden doesn't have any plays, I think for the sake of his life total, we're going to be seeing a lot of shocks. And here is Shredder, but no Bobble. The saddest bird.
The Fairy Bound.
Fairy Bound's pretty strong as well, getting to resolve that. Tap to Breeding Pool. There's the bolt. And now Iteration on turn 2 is going to get some value going for Aiden here. See if we have a third land to pair with this Death Shadow.
There's a land in hand.
If he's got the fetch, he could play the Shadow as a 1/1. It's just super susceptible to Renin 6. Gonna be the polluted Delta. Yeah, we're gonna make a 1/1. I mean, we didn't see Renin 6 at all from Will so far, so I think it's mildly safe to deploy the Shadow here for a turn. Will playing Flooded Strand. Probably no Omnath, although a tapped out Grixis Death Shadow opponent may want to see an Omnath come down when the opponent's just tapped out, but I think Will did have an Endurance in his opener, so something like Endurance to turn off on Holy Heats could be pretty good now. I've also seen
Or Drown.
yeah,
Just give
you
it your
hit
own
yourself,
dragon,
yeah, and then you blank like 4 cards in your opponent's deck. I know when Eric and I play this matchup, he says he just boards out Drown in the locks because he knows I'm just gonna Endurance myself anyways, so but not a play everyone's up on, and I don't think it's always the right play either. Sometimes an Holy Heat's just the best card your opponent can have, and you want to be able to restrict that as much as you can. And also, if they're on DRCs, you can make those a lot easier to deal with.
Ready? TBR. One time for the one time.
And sadly, I think we're off the TPR play.
Maybe
That card was good.
Still
Dress Down's just like also has functionality against other cards, or
yeah, but
TBR is just the
word on the street is TBR can deal 24.
Yeah. Yep. Trample kind of nice. Now there's the Drown on the Endurance. I would have liked to see that we could have played Endurance when Aiden was tapped out.
Yeah, he also just discarded one of Croxon.
Yeah.
So he's just
His hand must be pretty loaded then. There's a Ren.
triple land. Play land, play a 3-ball.
Bounce the Shadow.
Yep.
That'd be a pretty big swing of things. basic island.
Sky Noodle.
Not as good as Teferi, but it does set up nicely for
Solid.
next- yeah.
The street is Death Shadows 8. So.
Yeah. Yeah, they just don't work. It's a pretty awkward card to play right now in today's meta. Even with DRC and Holy Heat Terminated, I think. There's one other threat after this shadow is dealt with, if we can deal with the shadow.
And he has a Crux in his graveyard. Which we might see.
It's going to be Croxa here. Will with one card in hand? No.
Discard
Two other
two.
cards in hand. Discards Noodle. Classic Omnath plus fetch land.
Oh, if he goes into White Source, any land, right? Solitude here, that's massive.
If he wants a hard cast, then he would need a white source, so we might need to shock down here. So we have to
Temple Garden.
chooses the Temple Garden, so probably have some more endurances or eternal witnesses lying around if we're getting that
Solitude.
overhanging fountain.
Yep.
Yeah, here it is.
Goodbye, Crux.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to take out the Croxa here. Because it also just naturally kills the Dash. And then getting the Croxa into exile is where you want that card if you're a shadow opponent. I believe Aiden has Delirium.
He currently has and a Death Shadow in his graveyard because he exiled it.
Because he had right, there's nothing under the. So Terminate is his only real answer for Omnath here. We're gonna see it
Which is fun.
It builds the graveyard too. We could actually hit Delirium here. We do.
has
Yeah.
Delirium.
We could take out Ren. Oh, but
he
we
tapped
yeah,
on
he tapped
red.
his red, yeah. Unfortunate, but DRC is a 3/3 now. Both of Nissa. Does that mean we are on
That's a
elementals?
3-ball.
Three-ball pick up Solitude.
How many cards does he have?
I believe 3 now. attack with Solitude first, see what happens, and then bound. I think you're okay trading the Solitude with the DRC here.
He just pluses and passes.
I think
He could have a prismatic ending.
he might have just drawn a card, right? 1, 2, no.
Yeah.
So it's up to 5. Will heat at the perfect number. Take out the Ren, but we're gonna bin the dress down. I think I'd want to hang on to that, but maybe Aiden's just looking to find a threat here.
Doesn't work as well with DRC.
Yeah, they do not play nice. DRC is gonna come at Fairy, but it's gonna be met by a Death Touch Icefang Coatl. And that's gonna trade unless Aiden has something to say about this.
It will trade because he has nothing.
Oh, you're right.
The whole board.
The secret layer one getting to me. And backup Croxa with cards in the graveyard. It's gonna make Will discard a Cavern. Yeah, we are definitely playing a Risen Reef deck here.
How did the cards in this graveyard?
Oh, it could be Emrakul.
Oh, baby. Seasons pass.
Season's bad. And now,
There's
now
the
we're gonna pick it
solitude
up.
build.
The big value. Yeah, Aiden's just buying Gigantha. It's not the greatest mode to be in here. I'm curious why I didn't just play the or cast the Croxa from Escape.
It just gets solitude.
I
And he
guess.
never ever gets to cast the Death Shadow.
I guess.
Oh, now
Just
it's
the
never
21.
gets to cast this Croxa.
Yeah. Because it's
Should
gonna
grab
be
an
endurance, yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
no,
we
the
might not we
Emrakul.
might not have an endurance, so we're just gonna go for Emrakul. I'm guessing the math works out if Wiz going for it here. That he has enough cards in graveyard and lands in play. So we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,
So you create 12 characters.
11, 12 thirds. I think we're 1 off from casting it this turn unless we have another land in play.
There it is.
And here's Emrakul gonna take Aiden's next turn. I'm not sure how much damage it's actually gonna do for Will, but it's gonna make a 13/13 flying trampler, so it's gonna end the game in one way or another. So last cards are Gigantha land with iteration.
No.
Do you even cast the iteration?
Yes. You do the iteration.
And then you could basically draw 0, right?
Yeah.
With iteration, you might as well cast it.
Exile his best card. Put the second best card at the bottom. Put the worst one into his hand.
You could just not play the land. Cast iteration, drown, bauble, bauble.
Just literally cast Bauble and draw on your own Bauble.
You could, yeah. You could also just put 1 on the bottom, 1 in exile, not cast the bauble. And then I think you can try to drown Emrakul, right? Or no, it's pro instance.
Yeah.
You actually can't. So
You
you
just
do
drown-
have to drown your own bauble.
Draw on your own Bauble. Congrats, you have a Gigantha.
No, it's not even in play, but
It's in his hand.
it's about to be in play.
No, Thoughtseize.
Thoughtseize taking Solitude and just dying to the 13/13. All right, so Emrakul coming in clutch there. One of the best cards in Modern right now. For closing out games, it takes some time to get there, but it definitely makes the game over. So, we finally finished round one, and we'll see you guys back here in a few minutes for round number two. Right, we're here for round number 2. We've got a returning archetype, but different player this time. Joe with goblins and Reed on Teamer Scape Shift. So both of these players taking a look at these recent tournament winnings and top finishes and emulating their deck choices when trying some new things with goblins. I got access to the new Goblin Lord from Dominaria. And I don't think Teamer Skip Shift has anything new, but it is a little innovative that it's 3-color with iteration, and we see fire ices as well.
Yeah. I don't know. Goblin's cracked.
It can be very powerful. We saw Ian draw less good than Joe did. He hit a mold of 5, and Burn not being the greatest matchup.
Did he win or
He lost.
rough? Yeah, man. The ability to go turn 1 Skirk Prospector into turn 2 Runfeld Hordemaster into turn 3 War Marshal seems I mean, people were casting Desperate Ritual when it only gave you 3 red mana. And now they're out here maybe casting Desperate Ritual when it also draws you 3 cards.
It's pretty strong.
Sounds pretty hot to me. Don't have a triple Aether Vial hand here, it looks like.
He drew one of those against me when we were playing before the tournament too. I don't know if it's a great thing. He kept a one-lander.
I mean, you only really need so many.
I mean, when you have vials,
Yeah,
multiple, you don't need lands.
no. Well, you do if you want to place things off the top with Snoop.
This is true, but you don't really cast them off the top.
I mean, I think you want to cast that Runfeld Hordemaster.
I'm just saying you don't cast them. You generally like want them. I don't know. I feel like I guess that is the one card, and it is on top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like any goblin other than literally, no, he draws the Runville Hordemaster anyway because if we were ticking up vials. I mean, any goblin that doesn't have an activated ability, you kind of want to be able to cast. So
That was a pretty heads up play though, doing it in the upkeep. The Snoop,
Yeah.
saying what you're drawing.
oh, might have a shuffler in hand and the matron, the matron, and maybe wanted to hold off. Or yeah, and then we just get to cast that thing, and now we know we're hitting the land. There we go. Now we can cast another Runveld Hordemaster that's in our hand, and pop off, as they say.
True.
Have 2 Runveld Hordemasters in play. Maybe draw 2 cards every time we sack our Mog Fanatic.
Yeah. Yeah, and if we find a Bogart Harbinger, this game might be over before
Immediately?
Reed, yeah, can even do anything about it.
Post haste.
Yeah. Good old Mog Fanatic.
Yeah.
Damage on the stack, nerfing that card a little bit, but
Yep.
I think it'll recover.
I mean, I think it's a 1 of in the Goblin sticks.
Yeah, it's not super common. I mean, it deals with Ragavan very well.
It does in fact do that. I got my Ragavan Mog Fanatic.
Oh yeah, you're on Ragavans, yeah.
I kind of want to play mono white so I can put all the bad white cards that they just came out with into my deck, but I need more Sarah Paragons for that.
Oh sure.
I'm just gonna
That
play
card is sweet.
mono white, get in the way. Like cut all the Stoneforge Mystics, just get in the way.
No stone mystics.
Just for the meme. It's gonna be like it's gonna be it's actually gonna be green white and it's gonna be 60 card.
Green.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
So I can Coco into my 3 drops.
Good old collected company. Files going up.
Gonna play 4 vials, 4 noble hierarchs, 4 collect or probably only like 3 collected company. Then green white, his name, Abandoned Arbiter, and that new guy, the 3/3 that also interacts with activated abilities. Anointed, whatever is nuts.
I'm not sure.
3 mana, 3/3 with vigilance. As he enters play, look at your opponent's hand, choose a card, and then choose a card name. Cards with that, or when your opponents cast spells with the chosen name, they cost 2 more to cast, and activated abilities of
It's like the elite
sources. Yeah, elite spellbinder, but leaves the card in their hand so they can still pitch it to Solitude.
That matters. Yeah.
but it can name fetch lands.
Oh, okay.
So I might not run Lean Arbor. I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
A little bit of redundancy never hurt though.
Yeah, but run Sarah Paragons. Then when my stuff dies, I'm like, haha, replay it. Oh, you killed it? I gained 2 life. Probably try to go a little heavier on 2 drops also because Extraction Specialist with Sarah Paragon seems pretty cracked.
I do like that card. I've seen it in Cube, and I think that's the only time I've played it.
Extraction Specialist?
Yeah.
Looks like we're getting a dress down in response to a Snoop Kiki-Jikiing itself. Which,
That matters, kind of.
well, in theory, Joe can deck himself.
Yeah.
Because it does say sacrifice. So if he didn't have the way to do the combo, Reed could let this go. Could have let this go.
And then he could just go through his whole library.
Yeah, he could have set up. Reed could have potentially engineered a situation such that actually Reed would have engineered a situation such that like if Joe goes to put the tutor on top, Reed could cast the dress down in response, which denies the tutor. So then
Right.
Joe's not able to kill him, and then you go to end step, and both players have end step triggers, and look which player isn't the active player. Reed, so his trigger resolves first, and oh look, your Runveld Hordemaster and your infinite goblin tokens
Don't really
that
have time,
sacrifice. That doesn't seem like it's going to interact too well there. Please exile your entire library. Untap, upkeep, draw, say go.
Yeah, Dress Down's a silly card. So I guess we should have let him go for it then, right?
Yeah, I think you let him until he shows you that he's actually able to kill you because he's not on board. Yeah, you just let him go for it. I think. You'd be like, haha. Oh yeah, reminding him he does not have haste on that Goblin Ringleader.
The top card should be revealed, right?
No, the Snoops has lost its ability, so that top card is no longer
Oh.
revealed. Yeah.
Well, Dress Down. Well, now Dress Down just now going to the graveyard.
Yeah, so now the top card would need to be revealed. Yes.
So there's Snoop.
But yeah. If Joe doesn't have the tutor in hand, Reed could have killed him if he was trying to make infinite boys.
Well, he could have just made a arbitrarily large enough amount, right? not
So he was doing that on his own turn, and they're all tapped because they each one has to tap itself.
Oh, so we'd have to.
You have infinite tapped 2/2s, and then you use Harbinger to put a Mog Fanatic on top of your deck, and then or a Sling Gang Lieutenant, and then sack them all to shoot your opponent to death.
So then, just in response to the Harbinger.
In response to the Harbinger being you'd have to do it in the case of there being vials here. You have to do it. You would have to know that that's what's coming in off of the vial on 3. And I think you take that gamble.
I think so.
And as long as there's only one vial on 3.
Hmm.
If there's multiple vials on 3, then no. But it looks like there's only one vial on 3. So yeah, I would definitely have taken that gamble and then been like, haha.
Sure.
End step, exile your library.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
So Reed could just win next turn, though, right?
Yep.
If-
I mean, he's not going to. I think Joe's going to
I
kill
think
him.
Joe. But if somehow, I'm pretty sure Joe is just dead.
If Reed can stop Joe from killing him, Reed will win the game, assuming he has escape shift.
And I think I did see the script difference saying.
Okay. But I'm pretty sure that Reed's dead
I think.
because this is just the combo. We even have the Harbinger already in play.
Yeah.
We need another dress down here to interrupt stuff.
We could have it though.
Good. It
This
could be
is-
there.
This is game 1, so
Also, what will work is any removal spell on the Harbinger in response to it being targeted. Because at least in theory, oh no, because we're about to draw Kiki Jiki. So maybe that wouldn't work. That wouldn't work anyway. Okay, so we're just bolting the Snoop in response to
yeah,
the
Reed's gonna skip him up.
what do you show him? I'm confused. Why do you scoop?
Because he's just gonna do it.
Oh, it's a 4/4.
Yeah.
No, it's a 4/4. It doesn't even die
it
because
also
there's
just has a
yeah, it has
backup.
another one. Yeah, but it's also a 4/4 because there's 2 Runveld Horde Masters in play, and Snoop is on its face a 2/2.
Yep.
Figured it out.
Strong.
Yep.
All right, we're back for round number 3. A little late here. So it is gonna be Burn on Aquino's side versus Will on 4 colors. So a notoriously good matchup for Burn. Might not see too many more turns if this game even play out.
Yeah, I know that Will's pretty new to the 4-color deck. I know he said he's only played sub 20 games with it, and that's pretty new for a 4-color deck.
Oh yeah, there are a lot of cards, a lot of options you could play in the deck.
I did play against Will round 1,
Mhm.
and he was pretty decisive with his plays, which was nice. Not a whole lot of time spent thinking.
That's good. Yeah, you have to be. You have to be quick on your feet to play the 4-color decks. I think.
Yeah.
A lot of green mana for him right now, looking a little rough. The lack of fetches definitely can make some awkward decisions here. Like he may actually, I don't believe he is on counter spell, so you could just have another coatl here. Probably see that in response to the Eidolon if he has one.
Looks like a pass and an untap.
You know, only on 2 lands. That's pretty good. Yeah. But that also means he's got a lot of gas in hand.
Yeah, so looks like Aquino's only spent a few burn spells here, so been able to whittle down Will to 10 life with only a few creatures, which is pretty important. Looks like here's a second creature.
Yeah, it'll shock Aquino, but his life total does not matter as much as Will's. Leyline Binding, one of the new cards from Dominaria coming out here. Being a 6-drop is not gonna take 2 from the idol.
We'll have to pay 2 mana for that, but it looks like he also has a Solitude, pitching a call, taking nothing.
Pretty powerful stuff
Yeah.
there. Yeah, I didn't even think about Leyline Binding helping out in the burn matchup, but that is an insanely
Yeah.
good card.
Yeah, the card has been carrying its weight around. It was able to pull off a Shredder in my match against him. That was quite important.
There's not too much enchantment removal right now,
No, not at all.
outside of like Teferi
Yeah.
or something.
I can make a EE at 3, but not 6.
I don't think anyone can make an E
Nope.
at 6. Maybe.
I would have to call a judge at that point.
Oh, they are charge counters, so
With that new charge,
you could
you can
buff it
do
up
it.
to 6.
You
Yeah,
can do it.
it's a lot of work, but
It's like
I'll back up Eidolon for
Another Eidolon.
Aquino here.
and another Solitude. So this one's being a hard cast. So this will be sticking around, and it'll let Will draw some cards if Aquino wants to stay on the battlefield or gain some life. Which is,
Basically the same thing.
Yeah.
Gaining life against burn is just casting counterspell.
yeah.
Is this an Omnath? 4 mana. Yeah, here he is.
There he is. There's the beam. Let's see, does he follow it up with a land? Yes, he does.
Not a fetch land, but any
Still-
land here is
Still
good.
4 life, yeah.
And then 3 from this honestly should be good.
Yeah, this should wrap it up. Don't know if there's any skull cracks main board from Kino's side.
I mean, even having to deal with the Omnath, that's just not something you can really do game 1.
No. Yeah. I don't even think Kino has any good ways to deal with the Omnath game 1 really.
Outside of Searing Blaze times 2,
You're right, yeah.
I guess that's really it. If you want to stay profitable. Otherwise, double bolting it.
Lava spike from Kino.
Yeah, I would scoop it up if I were Aquino here. There's I guess Will could miss lands. You play it on 1 more turn, see if Will makes a land drop. But if he does miss, then I guess you have a chance. Risen Reef. Yeah, Will is on EI and Risen Reef. Ooh,
And
finding
there's the red
6.
6. Yeah, so
Fetch land coming down.
let's see, yeah. I'm pretty sure this should pretty much wrap it up.
Well, this is gonna gain 7 life every turn minimum, so
Yeah. For 4, right?
well, it's like not per turn, I guess, but you can go to his upkeep and then you can
Oh,
fetch
yeah.
now. But he's actually not. But you could just
Yeah,
it doesn't
yes,
matter.
yeah.
Like at this point, but if you're at like 2 life, you can play the fetch, go to 6,
Mm.
and then just on his upkeep, then you just fetch again,
You
go
fetch,
4,
no-
then you go back to 8.
Yeah. And then just slowly do that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the
Wow.
Ren is broken. So if you're a king, you're probably gonna bring in a path here just to deal with Omnath. I think Will could bring in Chalice, 100% Flusterstorm. Chalice is kind of iffy because Burn just plays Smash the Smithereens, and if you don't bring that in, then that just blanks the card. So it's definitely a consideration. But with Leyline Binding, that actually like shores up a lot of options for Will here. Like you don't really need to bring Force of Vigor in or even have it in your sideboard because Leyline Binding can just take out
It'll hit it.
the Roiling Vortex or
Yeah.
Eidolon like we saw in game 1. Like
It'll be able to hit any problematic permanent for theoretically what is 1 mana, which is
right, yeah, in Will's deck, because he has the Zagoth Triumph,
Mhm.
that is gonna make it just 1 mana most of the time, I think. It makes the mana pretty awkward though. Like he didn't have red mana for a while there. For a few turns. And I guess if you have other fetches, it's gonna correct itself out, but I definitely like having the assurance of all of the colors of mana, but you do still have Raugrin Triumph. It's just I think he drew like no fetches for the first like 4 turns of the
yeah,
game.
and so he was just putting off a green.
But he got there against a not so good matchup. So I do think sideboarded games with Burn are a little more complicated for 4 color to win. Will did see multiple Solitudes, Omnath, Leyline Binding, so we just have to see that one more time. He can lose a game here, probably the one on the draw, and then he'll get another chance to be on the play. Yeah, if Burn keeps 7 on the play, most matchups, it's pretty rough.
Yeah, it's yeah.
You're not getting a lot of time to set up, and even as we saw earlier, yeah, over the fetches, yeah. It was interesting because last game Will didn't have fetches, which means he didn't have to take as much damage, but he also didn't have access to all of his colors as early, so it's a little give and take there. But I think I'd rather have less fetches, just so you don't take 1 to 2 damage every turn, shocking them in or shocking in the shocks or having to fetch for basics.
You just don't even get the option to. You have to play with what you've got, which is nice. Yeah.
Right. And that can save basically 1 or 2 spells from the burn side of things if you can, over the course of a whole game, save yourself intervals of 1 over a bolt. So if you can gain 4, or not lose 4 life, or not lose 7 life, you'll maybe buy yourself another turn, or not. Sometimes your opponent just has the Boros Charm, and you die. But,
Yeah.
gotta try.
Seems to be doing that a lot tonight. So
I've seen Boros Charm a lot in his hand, although games like this, last one, he didn't really matter because
yeah, when the opponent's at 10 and you got nothing on board, and opponent's getting suit up 7 life.
and he only had 2 lands in play for a while. I think he got the 3rd towards the end, but Kino's actually going to send this one back. Mulligan's pretty big deal for Burn. They really need every possible card they could have, and being down a card on the play is pretty powerful. So that must have meant that his hand was basically unplayable, or maybe a little too risky for him.
Looks like Will is keeping his 7, which is fine.
Have you tried implementing any of the new cards? in your deck for today? Or?
Not so much. I was just kind of going into it back with running it back with Death Shadow for the first time in a while. Seeing how it did in the meta. It's the meta tonight here has been wild. Every week kind of changes.
That's a good thing. I
Yeah.
think.
It's nice because you don't go. Sometimes you go into it expecting 4 Murktide decks and
Right.
run none, and other times it's the exact opposite.
Right.
which
Yeah.
is nice.
Yeah. I feel like some metas can locals can get a little
Stiff.
yeah, just like a little inbred. You know, like it's
Right.
just but people play decks that beat like half of the decks there because there's only so many people playing the same deck every week.
Yeah, because people can't afford to or refuse to switch off of their deck, so
Right.
it's very easy to predict what's going to be there.
Mhm.
Which is nice that all most of our players do have multiple decks, so you can never really know what you're walking into. Which is keeps things fresh.
Oh yeah. Get to try out new sideboard tech every time.
Yeah.
In turn 2 idle on pretty big if Will doesn't have a good answer to it. We'll see if he fetches up the Sultai Triumph here. Might have a ley line binding waiting for us. It's gonna be Raugrin, so maybe next turn is untap fetch for the Zagoth and then get you already have white.
But also, help him. He's not going to shock it in anyways, so why not go ahead and get the Triumph?
Right.
So yeah.
It's gonna be a snow covered forest.
He could still play Playline here
For 2, right.
for 2.
Prismatic
Prismatic
ending
ending takes
is
2.
gonna take 2 though.
Still works, yeah. So, was able to get 2 damage off of his 2 mana burn spell there, but luckily there was
And
no
a
more.
card.
Yeah. Not all that bad.
Actually seeing lands though, pretty scary.
Yeah.
I think it's deflecting palm, bolt, forest charm.
Yeah.
Probably just cast one of these bolts, yeah.
Yeah.
Sending Will down to 10.
Yeah. I don't know if there's a whole lot of incentive to hold on to them.
I think if you don't have any, you might hold on to them just for Skewer the Critics.
Right.
To make that actually castable. But outside of that, I believe that's the only actual reason. It looks like Searing Blaze.
Is that deflecting?
Yep. Yeah, Deflecting Palm and Searing Blaze. And another Boros Charm.
Boros Charm. He loves that card and it loves him back.
Yeah, and I don't think Will's on Counterspell, but he is on Flusterstorm. Hoping to draw a land here. Wow, very very fortunate.
Wow.
If he didn't draw a land there, I think we were a bit in trouble. What are we doing here?
What are we looking for? Looks like a Goblin Guide off the top.
I think I would have just held on to the Boros Charm and looked for opportunity to cast it.
Yeah.
Was going to shortcut a fetch and an Eldamri's Call for maybe just an Omnath here. If we don't already have one. Yeah.
Looks like we're just getting it on there. Looks like he's finding his fetch. Again, probably be some kind of triumph. Bets. One of each triumph, correct?
One of each?
Or one Ragran and one of the Sultai, correct?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. So he needs either double red or a second red for something.
Might have an iteration this turn.
Yeah.
The forest is making things a little awkward.
Is it wrong onion? You think he's holding up Flusterstorm?
I mean, he has been representing it this whole time, so
Yeah.
And
It's gotta
Aquino,
be something along those lines.
Aquino losing his lands makes me believe he isn't aware of the fluster storms.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think you just want the lands at play to be able to play around fluster storm a little bit, but
He just passes. All right. This would be the expressive variation here.
here we go. Yeah. I guess that is an island, not a forest. The snow covered land he has.
Is that an island?
I thought that was the art for the forest.
Yeah,
I think
me too.
we're gonna have someone go over there and check it out. All right, so that was in fact a forest, but fortunately Will can just retap his mana for that. Not a big deal here.
No harm, no foul.
Yeah,
There's a whole lot of thinking going on with this deck, so honestly, I can't say I blame him.
the secret layer lands are definitely not helping here.
Yeah.
But a timely skull crack, yeah.
Yeah, here comes the skull crack.
Was gonna draw from the Omnith.
Like,
If the fetch land was already in play, I think I would have just fetched in response to the skull crack. Yeah,
Yeah.
because it looks like the windsweep's already in play.
Yeah.
Yeah, Will not seeing this one. We'll see if he sees the fetch on the upkeep. He does not choose to do that. Now we're in a risky spot here.
He has if Kino has another skull crack here, I'll send Will down to 3 and or 2 after the paying life to fetch. And for that he'll be hanging around 2. So he'd be able to go back up to 6 if he had another land. Kino, I think, has 4 or 5 cards in his hand.
I think 4, and then we know about Searing Blaze, Deflecting Palm. So 1 mana is going to be floating here for a Goblin Guide. That seems pretty bad here.
Interesting. See a lot of
Lava
spike.
Spike to 1. I feel like we just need to get this Omnith off the table, but
Yeah. Fetch and response here.
it's going to go to 9 if he just fetches a tap land. And back down to 6. Looks like Will has a bunch of lands in hand, so that fetching in response to the trigger of the skull crack is probably not going to matter, but as long as we can keep playing land drops, yeah, here's the run.
There we go.
Yeah, this should be lights out like we saw for game number 1. But this is definitely how the matchup can play out sometimes. Having an Omnath in play for multiple turns just gonna lock your burn opponent out of the game so long as you can play a land every turn, and that's not a hard requirement to fulfill.
I also do think a big part of this was Aquino sacrificing a lot of his land.
I think so.
to draw. Yeah.
I just don't think it was necessary to draw there. I think he could have just waited at least a turn to start doing that.
Yeah.
Um,
I like hanging out at 3 mana when I'm playing burn. Personally,
it's good enough. Yeah.
it's lets you play at least 1/2 CMC and 1/1. That's
Mhm. And 4 can sometimes matter, but usually it's
Not
too
so
many. But
much,
that's why
yeah.
you have the canopy lands.
exactly. So we did see that he would draw Firelight Islet off the top, leading him to 4, and then he could go down to 3.
Yeah, and I think now Will's just gained a little bit too much life and still has a fetch land in play. And Aquino can't respond now because of the Teferi, locking him further out of the game. This deflecting palm is basically not going to be able to do anything, thanks to Teferi.
I am curious, why do you think Aquino chose to bring in Deflecting Palm, even when the most damage he's theoretically going to take is 4?
I mean,
I guess it is a 2
you-
mana.
I think you want
burn
to
s-
take.
4 mana burn spell.
Yeah, I think it's 2 mana, deal 4 damage. It's another Boros charm.
It's not terrible.
It can stop Solitude from gaining life
Because it prevents it.
because it prevents
That
the
works.
damage.
And so instead you can hit him. Okay.
Right.
All right. Okay. Getting a little bit more on board now. Okay.
Outside of that, I think maybe you want to take out Rift Bolts for Teferi, but like if you're comparing those cards right next to each other, I think Teferi actually does more damage to Deflecting Palm than it does to Rift Bolt. But either way, I don't think you want either of those cards. You don't like actively want them, but like you need some cards that are gonna have downsides because
Yeah.
like
That's
it's just
that's the game.
yeah.
It looks like Aquino is attacking with his
He might as well, I guess. I mean, it's just gonna get chunked by the Omnath.
and looks like Aquino's scooping it up.
Yep.
Looks like Will was able to get there and in 2.
Yeah, Will new to the deck, but not new to the matchup, that's for sure. I know he's piloted burn a few times himself, and
Will has played a lot of decks, and I'm sure being on the other side with against 4 colors so frequently,
yeah.
it's paying off. Yeah.
Oh yeah. For sure. Well, happy to see 4 color get a dub off of burn here. We can take a look around and see if there's any other matches going on, but if we can't find anything, we'll see you guys back here for round number 4.